Congratulations, you've obviously bought an inflatable product from Waterman, one of our Waterman line. What I'm going to do today is just give you an overview of what's inside your box and how to use it. Let's check it out. So inside here is neatly packaged everything that you're going to need to get yourself from out of this box into whatever water you want to go and paddle. So you'll see we have a board, inflated and strapped together. You have the pump. You'll also find in here a nice little orange canister that has repair glue and repair patches. And last but not least, you'll find a carry bag that everything goes inside. Okay, so let's assemble the pump. You're going to need your pump, your gauge, and your hose. Basically, in order to put the gauge onto the pump, you want to start upside down, lift the handle a little bit, and turn it clockwise until it's nice and cinched onto the handle. Next up with the hose, same deal. Turn it, it's nice and taut. So let's inflate the board. Under your strap. So when you're going to inflate your board, first thing you want to do is take the cover off the valve and make sure that this valve is in the up position. If it's down, which is achieved by pushing it down and turning it a quarter turn, the valve remains open. In order to inflate the board, you want to make sure it's in the up position. So to attach the pump, take the end, put it on, turn it a quarter turn. Now, there's various methods you can do when you want to pump. I think you'll find that the Bravo pump that we use is a single stage pump and it's capable of achieving some of the highest PSIs we've seen even amongst all our competitors. When you're doing this first part of the pump, you're going to notice your gauge doesn't register any PSI until you get some air on the board. Basically when you're inflating your board, it's going to take you between 3 to 5 minutes, depending on how tired you get or how good the water is. So I'm at about 12 PSI now. And when it starts to get to this upper range, you're going to feel some resistance every time you try to push in. So I change the technique and I'm going to do short, fast little pushes into the board. And you've probably got about 30 seconds of that and you're all the way there. So when you've reached maximum capacity for the iSUP, you want to be basically between 16 and 17 PSI. On the gauge we have now, it takes you to about 15 is at the end here next to this black line here. Now to get to 16 or 17, somewhere around between these two metal nuts is going to be our maximum volume. So once you're done, take it off. Replace the valve and get out of the water. One thing that we're always asked about is the fins. Now being that these are a rubber fin, they do tend to flex a lot. And they also have a memory. But you might find that when you unroll your board or you leave it stored for a while, that the fins are somewhat crooked. Best way to get those back to what they're supposed to be is to leave your board in the sun for a little while, wait for this to heat up, and then it's a little bit more pliable and it's going to find its natural memory. The thing to really notice about the Waterman iSUP boards is that they are the best in the market. And we've been playing with inflatable technology now for 3 or 4 years, really trying to get a board that jumps the gap between pool toy and a real toy, you know. We've been able to achieve that by, we had a few things we wanted to do. We wanted a board that could maintain a consistent outline and a board that could hold an established rocker. One of the key features of all Waterman products is the volume of stitching in every square inch of board. 30% more than any of our competitors. And the other unique thing about that is every single one of these layers is actually sewn through the first layer of the double layer material. And then it's glued. It's not just glued between here like our other competitors' boards are. Okay, let's pretend you've just been paddling and you want to roll this thing back up, get it back in its carry case and hit the road. A few things to remember when inflating. With the valve, you never want to just push this valve in 100% the first time. You've got 17 psi inside this board, and when you push that in, it's going to shoot out really fast. So the tip with that is to just let out little bits of air until you can go all the way. So I'm only compressing that valve probably 1/4 of an inch, if that. What I'm going to do now is, now that I've got a little bit of air out, I can push it in, give it that little turn to the side and let it go. And now that I've got that first bit of air out, I can push the valve in, turn it with my thumb, 1/4 turn, and it's going to keep the valve open. Alright, as you can see, with that valve half turned in, the board has achieved a somewhat flattened state. Now, in order to get the rest of the air out, we're going to do two things. First of all, we're going to roll from the tail forward. Now, if you want to fit it back into the bag, the most compact way is to roll it from the nose. Make sure your valve, again, has been pushed down and is open. And start small, like a sleeping bag. Make sure you keep it nice and tight if you're looking down the center here, so that it stays nice and neat. Once you've got to this point, fold it over, grab the strap that came in your bag, voila. So, if you're wondering how an inflatable product compares to a rigid product, they are more or less from two different worlds. They perform differently, they last differently, and there's a multitude of benefits that both products offer. But I think there's one thing that you can't deny, is that when you buy an Waterman product, it's pretty much freedom to explore right out of the box. A lot.